Adam Caplan at Caplan NFL, SiriusXM NFL Radio, the Inside the Birds podcast. And he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. And I guess, Adam, we'll dive into the trade deadline or the lack of action yesterday. Was it surprising they ended up with nada? Nada of significance.
Yeah, guys, be with you. Yeah, I would say so. But as I learned as the day went along, and it wasn't just the Eagles, it was really the whole league. The teams that had players that other teams wanted, they asked for so much. Like, let me give an example. The Broncos were looking for a second-round pick for Chris Harris. Chris Harris turns 31 in June. He's 5'9" and 7/10 of an inch. Good football player, by the way, but most of the league sees him as a slot corner. These guys, you're not getting a second-round pick for that guy. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to let him walk, most likely, and they want to get a comp pick for 2021. Well, you're not going to get, number one, it's not a given you're going to get a third-round pick in compensation when he walks. So, and there's so much that goes into compensatory picks. So I thought they were out of their mind. They should have taken a third. They could have gotten a third if they would have been willing. They weren't, and they weren't budging. So that was really, Mike, to answer your question, that's really the way this thing went. The Eagles, as I said on our show today, I mean, they could have made a couple moves easily if these teams are willing to be reasonable. But I would also add that when you don't make trades and you're keeping draft picks, you better use them wisely. And they have to get younger, Mike. We've talked about this on your show this season. The Eagles are one of the oldest teams in the National Football League. They must get younger. They got to do it for the draft.
Any inclination of what Howie valued the most? Like, what was he trying to get the most? Anything? Any hints there? Was he saying we need a corner, or we need a tackle, or we need a wideout? Like, was there any clues to what he thinks this team needed the most?
I could tell you that the personnel staff was looking for help at D tackle, corner, and wide receiver. The kid that they got from Cleveland. My understanding was very simply, this is a guy they were trying to trade for several weeks. John Dorsey, the GM, and the Browns would not do it. And the Eagles, they went as high as they could, which, quite frankly, giving up for a backup player is a lot, but it's also 2021. And they seem to be pretty convinced, despite now having 7 defensive ends, that this kid's different from what they have. As one person told me, speed rusher, the Eagles don't have anyone like him. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense, and that's why they did it. But I don't know how much he's going to pay Avery. Certainly initially because he's new to this football team, but he was buried in, despite how well he did last year, he's buried with the coaching staff, and it is what it is.
Let me ask you this, Adam, because you and I talked about this on the Inside the Birds, and we're talking about it now. The idea of overpaying for guys who are only going to be on your team for a short term, which is something Howie probably definitely doesn't want to do. But I will say an argument is to be made that the New England Patriots grossly overpaid for Mohamed Sanu, a second-round pick for a number 3 wide receiver.
He can't run. I know, he can't run.
And so they're going for it. Their message is, we're going to give up a high pick because we want to win the Super Bowl this year. Do we have a right to criticize the Eagles and say, you had a chance? Yeah, it would have had to overpay, but some of these guys really could have helped you.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jeff. The Robbie Anderson situation with Joe Douglas and Howie Roseman's working relationship, it's almost a certainty that Robbie Anderson won't come back, but barring a surprise, you got to find a way to get it to make this happen. They gave up a third last year. Robbie Anderson, and I've been telling people this, it's okay to have 2 deep threats. Like, you could live with that. Like, with Desean coming back either this week, I'm told it would be this week, right after the bye. Even so, you don't know how long he's going to last. Whatever you get from Deshaun's a plus. Robbie Anderson's a difference maker. They should have made that trade. That was the one of all the teams they were talking about. And I'm digging into a couple names I've been told. As soon as I confirm, I'll put them on our show first, Jeff, next week. I've heard there are a couple other players that they were trying to get that have been reported. But that's the Mike's question. I think it was receiver, DN, D tackle, all the issues we all know that they had. They were trying to address them, but they clearly were not willing to go over the threshold and hurt their future in terms of draft compensation. So, Jeff, you asked a great question. Sanu, by the way, is a physical slot receiver. He's a good football player, but he doesn't run very well. But we've always talked about the Patriots. They overpay for everything. They don't care about draft. They don't really care as much as draft value. They care about system fits, and that's why they did it.
Hey, Adam, it's Ryan. So every win seems to have an asterisk mark next to it, at least in my opinion. You look at the Green Bay game, and the play calling had to be simplified on a short week. Then you look at the game against Buffalo on Sunday, and the weather and the wind played a major factor, and I think it kind of forced Doug's hand a little bit to go run heavy, and he was creative in that play calling, so I'm not minimizing that. But moving forward, let's just play a little hypothetical and say D-Jax is not going to be back and not stay in the lineup, at least for the next couple weeks. Just hypothetically, how do you see this offense functioning? Because I still can't confidently identify what this offense is and how successful they can be moving forward.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, though, they're the same as they've always been. And I outlined with Jeff in our show today, the Eagles are not a running offense. They've never been a running offense. They never will be a running offense. They had 33 plays in the first half, 20 dropbacks, 13 runs. They still were a heavy pass in the first half. What happened was five out of their first 7 plays in the second half were also called passes. One of those 2 runs was a 65-yard touchdown run. They got up big. They ran the football. They're not a running team, so I don't agree with it at all. Nothing will change my mind on this. This is something I've been an advocate for. People who say that Eagles need to run the ball don't understand football. I mean, this is not the way the league is run. But I get your question. This is a great point you made, and why we have not addressed. Jeff and I will have to address this probably Friday. What is this Eagles football team going forward? Now, if T-Jax is back, it's going to be a vertical passing game with this kid, as much as he can give them. He's not going to be able to play that anywhere near the amount of snaps that he did before. But if it's 20 snaps, 2 or 3 are deep, this opens up everything underneath. Folks, when T-Jax plays, he's going to play at some point this season.
How about Sunday?
It's going to change a little bit. It's going to be a vertical threat. This offense is going to change. It really is.
So, D-Jack, you said we'll play at some point. What's it looking like for Sunday for him?
So I'm told. Here's what I'm told, Mike. He's going to go to practice today. He's going to work. No setbacks, he practices tomorrow. No setbacks, he does a little bit Friday. He's going to let the trainers know how he feels. They're going to communicate, and if he feels right, he's going to go in the pregame on Sunday. If he feels right, he's playing. If not, he'll take the week off during their bye, he'll rehab, and he'll play the following if he has no issues. These people are saying that he's definitely playing. Clearly, you're not talking to the right people. We've outlined this for 2 months on our show on Inside the Birds. You could hear it on your website, Nick, and we talk about it actually today. If you're going to the game Sunday, just watch pregame warm-ups if you get there early, because that's very, very important.
Adam, do you think he's going to – or no, I shouldn't say that. Should he play? Do you think he should play this Sunday with the bye week next week? Or at this point, shouldn't he just kind of take the week off and get that 2 weeks?
Ryan, here's my response to that. My understanding is the medical staff feels like they've rehabbed it as well as they can. I've heard from 2 separate people that it's been great. The rehab has gone really well. Mm-hmm. There's been some peaks and valleys, though, unfortunately, which is what happens when you are trying to rehab a grade 2 tear in your abdomen. You don't get surgery. You can only get it to a certain point. I think he's capable of playing if he doesn't have a very bad degree of soreness after working each day. That's why I said it's now day-to-day, not week-to-week.
Yeah.
I think they'll prescribe. Ryan, this is a great question. They have to. Here's what he's got to do. He's got to. This is what I think I have in me, and he's got to. And the coaches can't overwork him. It's whatever he feels like he can handle. They're so different with him. Folks, I actually watched about 20 cut-ups from week 1 versus Washington this morning. You cannot believe when you wait till you see these safeties back off. For folks who have access to the NFL.com package, the Game Pass, watch the game, the All-22, watch the end zone shot when you see the safeties back off. It's really remarkable.
Adam Caplan, the All In podcast, is on our website with Jeff Mosher. Listen to that each and every week. And obviously, check out Adam right here on the Sports Bash Boardwalk Honda Hotline at Caplan NFL, SiriusXM NFL Radio. Thank you, Adam.
Guys, thank you.
Always pleasure to catch up with Adam Caplan, and you can hear more of Adam's insight from the All In podcast. It's up right now on the website, 97.3 ESPN.com.